was never going to end. And then suddenly the ceasefires and Good Friday came along, and it was like, finally this thing had happened that was going to change all our lives. So I was working as an artist in Belfast and thought I had to do something that would mark the occasion, something that would maybe be equal to the size of Good Friday, of the Good Friday Agreement. And then I couldn't figure out what to do. But this phrase was being thrown across the media constantly about being touched by the hand of history. Tony Blair had made the statement that he felt touched by the hand of history. And suddenly one day, just sitting in the car driving along, it just dawned on me, of course, what is the hand of history? What does it look like? And you know, once I went down that route, then I decided that everyone who negotiated the Good Friday Agreement, they were the hand of history. You know, and John Hume's role in that was much bigger than a lot of people's. He didn't really say very much, but what he did say is, what do you want me to do? And it says, take your coat off, roll your sleeve up. And I made up the alginate. Now the alginate is a thing that whenever I was up in David Trimble's office, in the First Minister's office, he was wondering what I was doing. And I'd mix it with a normal food blender. So, you know, put powder and water in the big water jug, stick the blender in, and you always get a few bits flying out all around the place, you know. So this was flying out around David Trimble's office. The same happened with every one of them. So with John Hume, and the same is happening. And he just stood and watched, he didn't comment, he didn't, you know, whereas everybody else had something to say. And then I said, right, you need to put your hand in now. So when they put their hand in, there's 3 minutes until the alginate is totally hard and secure, and then they can take their hand out. And what happened with everybody until John Hume was, when they put their hand in, it was suddenly like I had them, and they were stuck with their hand in a jar, and they all started to talk, and they all said different things, you know. And after the first couple, I realised this is something I should take a wee note of, you know. So, you know, I have a record of that. But John Hume put his hand in his pocket, and he just stood there. And I said, I can't remember just what I said, but I think I tried to say something to him about, you know, how's the agreement going? And it was like he knew I was going to record whatever he said. So he just stood there for the entire 3 minutes with his hand in the jar, right? And eventually he took his hand out, and I looked in, it all looked perfect. And just a wee, before I finalise what I was going to say there, whenever John Hume's hand was cast, I don't know if anybody noticed it in there, but everybody held their hands in different ways, you know, and there's certain things you can tell by looking at the hand, you can read the hand. And whenever I got John Hume's hand out, it was the closest thing to the red hand of Ulster. I actually sculpted up a big oversized red hand of Ulster, and I used John Hume's hand as a model for it. But anyhow, so after he takes his hand out and gets his coat on, and the two of us leave the room, he looked at me and he says, so now that I've let you cast my hand, you better buy me a drink. And off we go down into the bar, and the same as when we entered the building, as we walk into the bar, there's people over there, and they're all waving at him, and you know, people coming up to him, hello Mr. Hume, it's great to see you. You know, so he was very popular. There was nobody, you know, I couldn't imagine anybody in the place who would have maybe objected or something to his presence, you know. Whereas there's not many of our politicians that I could say that about. And you know, he was, everybody who approached him, it was like he was meeting an old friend or something, you know, he was shaking their hands, and what's your name, and he'd find out the details, you know, and eventually he sat down and we had a drink, and that was the end of the casting, and you know, but I'm just very proud to have his hand on the sculpture, you know, and it really, it validates the sculpture a lot, you know, because John Hume was the right man, he always said the right things and did the right things, and I think that's all I have to say, unless anybody wants to ask something really quickly. No? Right? Okay. So thank you.